Well, how's old Reno running there, Eric?
Didn't blow up.
Eric is working on our 91 Ford Crown Vic, the car that we lovingly refer to as Reno.
Jeez. Always something. There must be some sort of automotive illness going around because we've got 5, I think, of our own cars down right now.
Chase Classic Motors is back in action. That's right, friends and neighbors, you join us back at our Chase headquarters as we continue our mission to serve and protect great cars right here in the Motor City, the heart of American car culture. And because you've told us that you want to see more vintage police cars here on the channel, we're kicking off a new season of videos with one of the unsung legends of the automotive world. Yes, it's the blue oval in blue, the hall monitor of the highways, the overlooked auto with the automatic overdrive, the unassuming yet immortal Ford Crown Victoria. These full-frame, full-size Panther body cars were the backbone of American police fleets all the way from the 1980s to the 2010s. And like their arch rivals from GM and Chrysler, these forsaken Fords were immortalized on screen as police cars in some of our favorite TV shows and movies. With over 3.5 million built over a 32-year production run, chances are you've seen one of these full-size Fords during the course of your life. The most memorable are undoubtedly the police package cars that featured beefed-up suspension, brakes, tires, and engine options. While faster and more capable police cars from GM and Mopar came and went, the Ford Crown Victoria outlasted them all with its rugged dependability, stalwart performance, and a reputation for near indestructibility.
Unlimited technology from the whole universe, and we cruise around in a Ford POS.
So how did it come to pass that Eric is hard at work repairing one of these supposedly indestructible Ford police cars? Well, this boxy 1991 model just so happens to be one of our company cars, and its survival story is nothing short of miraculous. So in honor of our favorite Fords, let's take a look at the legacy of these great American sedans by taking a trip through Ford country, in a vehicle that's as much a rolling couch as it is a car. We'll look at the history of the Ford police cars and discover how this crusty Crown Vic was saved from the crusher in Reno, Nevada, and became our trusted shop car that we nicknamed Reno. Along the way, we'll show you how you can own a car like this for pennies on the dollar thanks to brokered insurance auctions like Copart. You'll also see how we turn this bargain basement Ford back into a police car for our friends in the movie business who help us make these videos. So now, let's catch up with Eric and see what it will take to get our Ford running and road ready once again, now that we have driven a Ford lately. By the looks of it, Eric is working on our 91 Ford Crown Vic, the car that we lovingly refer to as Reno.
Yeah, when we bought this car, it needed a water pump. And I put a water pump on, and I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but it was from a company that I've dealt with many times before and never had a problem with. But something else we deal with all the time here is cheap, junk parts made in China. And unfortunately, an awful lot of manufacturers that used to be good and used to build decent quality stuff in places other than China, a lot of times they slowly move over to the dark side. And I suspect that's what happened with this water pump because it started leaking, 2 months ago or something. Yeah. And so I had to go get another water pump, and this time I used one from a different manufacturer. We'll see how well this one holds up. So I have to put it in the memory banks that I may not be able to trust the first manufacturer anymore.
Who are you using now?
Believe it or not, it's AC Delco. Let me get the box. I want to say the box said this pump was made in Mexico, which I'd rather have made in the USA, but most of the time that's just not an option anymore.
Sad but true.
Oh, nope. No, it's Chinese. But like I say, a lot of times you just can't avoid it anymore. Another thing I want to teach you guys about AC Delco, they do make aftermarket parts. They aren't just GM. They make stuff for all kinds of, different automotive applications. But watch out, when you get AC Delco, there's cheap garbage and there's better stuff. If it says AC Delco Professional, that's the better quality AC Delco. If it doesn't say Professional, it's cheap garbage, don't use it.
You've got us the pro by the looks of it.
Oh, well, I hope so. We'll find out. Like I say, I'd rather have something literally made in any other country than China. Even Taiwan. The Taiwanese stuff, that's the good Chinese stuff. I just put the fan back on.
So while Eric continues putting our Ford Crown Victoria back together, let's take a brief detour and look at the history of the Ford police cars. Ford was the first American automaker to produce a factory model for police in 1950. Before that, American police officers drove retail cars like everyone else, with upgrades like heavy-duty brakes, uprated suspension, and larger radiators added only by special order. Eventually, Ford fleet sales agents noted that most police departments tended to order their cars with the same set of upgrades. So Ford began to consolidate all of their heavy-duty components into one ordering code which they dubbed the police package. This not only made buying a police car simpler, it allowed Ford to focus on building these special purpose vehicles in production runs that occurred during certain months of the year, thus making their production schedule more efficient. By the 1960s, Ford was offering a variety of police package models to suit the needs of different types of police agencies. This included 2-door and 4-door versions of the Galaxy and the Custom, along with a full range of engines. Urban departments could select a fuel-sipping inline-6, while highway patrol officers had access to high-performance V8s like the tire-munching 428 Cobra Jet and the awesome 460 Police Interceptor. However, while Ford police cars remained popular throughout the decades, they were often sidelined by the 440-powered Mopars being offered by Chrysler. Plymouth alone would dominate 80% of the police car market throughout the 1970s, but the big Fords would eventually go head-to-head with Mopar and Chevrolet to ultimately win the police car wars in the latter half of the 1990s. Interestingly, in 1965, the Galaxy 500 would be offered in a trim line called the LTD. Ford would continue to use this nameplate all the way until our car was born in 1991. And speaking of our LTD Crown Vic, let's see how Eric is coming along. After all, time is money, and our Reno Crown Vic has a date with a prospective buyer, as we prepare to offer this car up for sale.
But it's certainly important that we get this car back up and running again, even though we haven't had any more movie gigs. We've had this car for sale ever since we brought it back from Traverse City. And we want to make sure that it's back and running in tip-top shape again.
Should I tell our viewers about the type of people who have been interested in it?
Go ahead.
So, of course, we love this car. It's in good shape. It's almost completely rust-free because it's lived its entire life in California and Nevada. Yeah, paint is faded, the clear coat's come off of it, dashboard's cracked, but man, for a rust-free police package box Crown Vic, it's a very nice car. And it's got the fuel-injected 5-liter engine. So we want to make sure that wherever it goes, people are going to take care of it. And honestly, the price is a bit high on it for a car like this for that reason. Not because we want to make a bunch of money off of it, but to scare off people that are going to take this car to a demo derby. And still, we have derby guys contacting us saying, oh, it's only worth $1,000. So now I don't want to hate on demo derby guys too much.
Tell them I hate them.
Because number one, there are opportunities to buy parts from demo derby guys. They'll buy cars like this and they'll part out the interior and all that stuff. So it's a good way to get parts. Number two, you walk around a pick-a-part place like Parts Galore if you're from this part of the world, or US Auto or whatever. And it's not uncommon at all to see beautiful old cars there with, you know, less than 50,000 miles, and they're there and they're being destroyed. Well, if cars like that aren't getting saved, well then the demo derby guys can have them, really. I don't want it to be that way, but
It's just the hard reality.
yeah, it's the hard reality, really.
Where
There's
we
too
live.
many of them around if the derby guys are getting them. So
And if they're getting them that cheap.
yeah. I just wish the derby guys would try to stay away from the clean, rust-free cars, for Pete's sake. I was just watching something, if I can plug another channel a little bit, I was watching Vice Grip Garage, and I think this is an older episode where he saved a 77 Newport, and he's not a Chrysler guy. Was it Vice Grip Garage?
Junkyard Digs, maybe?
Maybe it was Junkyard Digs, I don't remember. I think it was Junkyard Digs. Guy saved a 77 Chrysler Newport. He's not at all a Chrysler guy, but it was so clean, he didn't want it going to demo derby because derby guys are trying to buy this car too. And it's like, dude, leave the clean stuff for someone else. Oh, but anyway, that's just my rant for a little bit.
They need to be preserved and protected.
Yeah.
Now, before we get into selling our 1991 Ford, let's talk about how we acquired this car and why it came into our lives in the first place. As you can imagine, finding a rust-free and authentic police package Ford from the late 80s or early 90s is no easy task. Yet every now and then, the planets can align and you find yourself with an incredible car story. Well, our story begins 3 years ago when I was randomly checking out used cars on the automotive websites that I routinely frequent. This was even before Eric and I even had our workshop. So one day, while perusing Copart's gigantic inventory of damaged and wrecked used cars, I stumbled upon a buy it now option for a rough but solid looking 1991 Ford LTD Crown Victoria, similar to what you see here on the screen. Looking at the photos, it was obvious from its twin spotlights and certified speedometer that this car was a genuine police package Ford Crown Vic. The listing said that the car ran and it had been impounded and totaled out by an insurance company after it was abandoned in Yosemite National Park. It was a little rough looking, sure, but I recognized that cars like this just don't come along every day. Plus the buy it now price was basically $1,000, so it seemed like a fantastic deal for the money. The car was up for auction at a Copart lot in Reno, Nevada, so I started making phone calls to find out the best way to bid on the car. However, it turns out that states like Nevada actually require buyers to possess a broker or dealer's license. That's probably to protect the automotive business lobby in their state. So after searching the internet for recommendations, I hired a broker based in Michigan to bid on the car using their license. Once I paid them a broker fee of $200 and authorized a $5,000 line of credit, the broker began bidding on the 91 Ford on my behalf. After selecting Buy It Now, the costs soon began to escalate. For selling me a vehicle for $1,050, Copart received an auction commission of 32%, or $325. With my Buy It Now bid of $1,050 successfully accepted, it was time to work out the logistics of getting the paperwork signed and transporting my new car home to Detroit. First, I needed to pay the $50 transaction fee to Copart for the auction sale. Next, Copart needed a $20 mailing fee for the title paperwork. But remember, this is a dual transaction, and the broker is the one that actually bought the car, so add $50 to the broker for receiving and transferring the title from their business name to mine. Next, I needed to pay the broker's fee of $15 for completing an electronic bank transaction. And then there was the small matter of the $63 in sales tax on the car, which I now owe to the state of Michigan. Oh, and let's not forget the $59 fee for Copart to move and load my car onto the truck. A truck, by the way, that I would need to hire. As you can see, my original $1,050 price tag had already climbed to $1,504 after factoring in all the fees from Copart and the broker. This is an increase of almost 50%. Once you add the combined broker's fees of $328 for renting their license to buy my car, I was already into this abandoned 91 Ford police car for $1,832. Now that I had the car, the paperwork, and the payment worked out, the next step was to secure transportation from Reno, Nevada to Detroit. Remember what I said about needing to hire a truck? Well, now we enter the alternate universe that is the auto transport business. For one thing, auto carriers operate on a cash-only basis, and from what we can tell, they operate a bit on the fringes here in the 21st century. They have systems like job boards, dispatchers, and they utilize cavalier drivers who seem more like privateers at times. If all this seems a bit old-fashioned, well, that's because it is. Evidently, the auto transport carriers haven't changed their business model for over 90 years. So here's how it works. First, I found a dispatch service on the internet called Sherpa. I then paid Sherpa a $300 dispatch fee to add my 91 Ford going from Nevada to Michigan on their job board. The carriers then bid on the job, and the drivers, most of whom are independent, take the bids and contact owners like me directly who are in need of transportation. Once the driver picked up the Ford at the Copart lot, I had mere days to prepare a cash-on-delivery amount of $1,300 for the driver upon arrival. That's no small task when the arrival date of Monday suddenly becomes 30 minutes from your house on a Saturday, just 15 minutes before the banks close. Incredibly though, after all that fuss, the car was successfully delivered. And by the time this grand experiment was over, I had acquired a 1991 Ford police car, all in for $3,432. That's nearly $2,500 more than what I actually paid for the car, but certainly less than it would have taken me to transport the car all the way to my house over several days. So with that in mind, let's get back to the shop, as once again Eric is hard at work, getting our faithful Ford ready for its next adventure. Eric has the 302 V8 in our Reno police car right back together. Now he's topping off the coolant. How's it looking, Eric?
It looks okay. Maybe I'll test drive it, take it to work today.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I haven't driven this, none of us has driven this car in a while because it's been down. You know, like I said, the water pump failed maybe 2 months ago. We've been trying to get other customers' cars done. And now that we got people that are hot to buy this, I need to get it done.
Yes, we've got one buyer interested from Indiana and one all the way from Saskatchewan, Canada.
Yeah, you want to talk about that?
Sure.
I hope it goes to the buyer in Saskatchewan. He wants to make a Saskatchewan police car out of it. The one in Indiana I don't have a problem with either. He wants to make, if you guys remember, the Matchbox box crown out of it, which would be cool, but I think I'd rather have this car become Saskatchewan.
Yeah, I think I would too. Just we tend to prefer something with a historical edge to it over something that was just a toy. Mm-hmm. We do like the history, but I know
think it'll start.
Let's see how it does. I know I'm hoping to find this car a good home very soon. Now, fortunately, Eric, we already did one heck of a road test when I filmed us driving back from Traverse City, 300 miles all the way back to our Chase HQ here.
Yeah, thank God the water pump lasted that long.
Well, that's for sure. Now, what we're looking at is the process of topping off, and I take it you're going to try to get some of that air out of the system now. Mm-hmm. Do you have any tips or advice for that?
On these older cars, it's pretty easy. They're pretty much purposely designed so that where radiator cap goes is the highest point of the system, so it bleeds itself pretty much. I'm just running it until the thermostat opens, get it circulating, touch all the hoses and make sure they're hot and stuff circulating through it, and top it off until it doesn't want anymore.
When I proposed the idea of starting our own classic car workshop to Eric, I wanted to try and build a small collection of vintage cars that we could rent out to local film companies. We'd already heard horror stories about what could happen to our prize collector cars in the hands of Hollywood, so we decided to make this rough and ready 91 Crown Vic into a test case for my idea. Of course, it had a few bumps and bruises along with some mechanical and electrical problems to sort out first. However, Eric quickly solved all of those problems, and we were amazed just how fast Reno went from being an abandoned basket case back to being a solid and dependable workhorse again. In fact, no sooner did we have the car delivered and fixed up than we got word that an independent film company was looking to rent out and hire vintage police cars in our area. The film was set in Washington, D.C. in 1995, so after we looked at some historical photos of D.C. police cars, we realized that our 91 Crown Vic might be the perfect candidate. So with an agreement from the film's producer, we quickly converted Reno into a mock-up of a DC police cruiser for a couple of $100s. After cleaning the body and using a clay bar on the faded paint, we applied a set of blue vinyl stripes that we purchased from a sign company supplier. Then we acquired a set of door shields, and some generic police lettering that we bought off of eBay. The result was that, once again, Reno did look a lot like a 90s police car. But Eric and I like our creations to be functional as well as realistic, so we wired together a police console made up of parts that we had lying around, like a Motorola radio set and a Federal Signal siren controller. We even wired up a working radar unit for extra eye candy. A red and blue Street Hawk light bar topped off the ensemble, and we made the bar removable to easily stow it in the trunk when we were driving to and from the film set. After just a few days, we had a low-budget police cruiser ready for its movie debut, and the film's producer and director were both delighted with our efforts. Here you see our Reno Crown Vic on the movie set in Romulus, Michigan. The cast and crew were a lot of fun to work with, and we enjoyed coaching the actors on how to operate the car for their various scenes. The movie is called Dominus, and it's a supernatural crime thriller made by a talented group of Michigan creators and actors. In fact, now that you've seen the behind-the-scenes footage, we can also show you a few screenshots taken from a rough cut of the film. As you can see, our 91 Ford was an important set piece for much of the movie's second act. The creators have announced on Facebook that an enhanced, finished version of the film is currently in the works, and Eric and I look forward to watching it again soon. But then that wasn't the only job that our faithful Ford took on that year. Eric and I are always surprised by the doors that open up to us thanks to our collection of quirky old police cars. So imagine our delight when we got a call from our car show friends with the Mopar muscle cars. It seems that a pair of automotive journalists from the German magazine American Classics were in town, touring our local car show scene, and they needed a support car for their photo shoot. Evidently, the brand new C8 Corvette press car that they had been provided by with GM wasn't tolerating Detroit's pothole-laden streets very well, so much so that their photographer Christian was having trouble keeping his camera steady. Fortunately, the Ford Crown Vic is nothing if not renowned for its soft, sofa couch of a ride, so we offered them Reno to use as a camera car. And as you can see, these German car guys are dedicated to their work. They'll even hang out of moving cars in the middle of a rough Detroit neighborhood to get the perfect shot of a Mopar muscle car. When I asked their editor-in-chief Lucas how our Crown Vic was handling the roads, he responded by saying that Reno was just like riding on a cloud. That was certainly a memorable day for everyone, and one of the reasons why Eric and I really came to love this car. Unfortunately though, the movie gigs dried up almost as fast as they began, so I decided that it was best to sell Reno for the good of our workshop. In fact, let's see how Eric is doing right now, especially now that our faithful Ford is back together and topped off with coolant.
It is starting to get warm in here, so coolant's going through the heater core. Temperature gauge is not coming up yet though. So I ordered fan belts for our 77 Fury Max at O'Reilly's, which is only 2 miles away, 2.5 miles away. I'm going to take this car to go get the fan belts. By the time I come back, I think everything should be burped. I'm just going to let it sit and cool off, and then I'll check, after it cools off, so let it sit a couple hours, I'll check the coolant one more time, top it off one more time, and then after that it should be good.
All right, Eric, sounds good. We'll see you when you get back.
All right.
You know, for some reason, the reverse lights seem to be out.
Oh. Well, geez. Always something. All right. I'm going to buy coolant, too, because we're out again.
Introducing a new American road car, the all-new Ford LTD for $79, with more front seat room, more rear seat room, more window area, and more handling ease than last year's LTD. Plus the power of a V8 engine standard, a road car to take you across town or across the country.
This land is your land, this land is my land.
To test drive the all-new LTD on your own roads, see your Ford dealer today.
Beginning with the introduction of the new downsized Panther platform in 1979, the re-engineered Ford LTD was poised to compete directly with GM's popular lineup of new full-size cars for the upcoming 80s decade. Gone were the fastback rooflines, long wheelbase, and gargantuan hoods that housed those beloved yet bloated big block V8s. Yes, those gas-guzzling cruisers of the 1960s and 70s were eventually being phased out. Instead, Ford borrowed a page from GM's playbook and designed a utilitarian sedan that followed the mantra of less is more. Ever since the fuel crisis of 1973, American automakers had looked for ways to build big cars that shed those porky pounds of body mass to improve performance and increase fuel economy. Yet Ford also wanted its loyal customer base to enjoy the value and comfort of a true full-size car. So a more refined comfort cruiser was born, and it bore the moniker of Ford's classic luxury trim level, the Crown Victoria, which included a stylish stainless steel band to accentuate the roofline, a crown for its new king of the road. The LTD Crown Victoria would continue to offer buyers a traditional big car ride with rear-wheel drive and V8 power at a time when all American automakers began shifting development and sales towards smaller, more fuel-efficient front-wheel drive cars. Perhaps automotive TV magazine MotorWeek offered the best take on the ride, features, and drivability of the LTD Ford Crown Victoria in this video essay from 1988.
It's more suited to long, slow cruises along the interstate than tight, curving mountain roads. In braking, the Crown Vic averaged 119 foot stops from 55. Not bad for a big old boat with no anti-locks. That's exactly what the Crown Victoria is. Big and old, but still rolling along. It's loved by the traditionalist and spurned by the modernist. But no one can say that it doesn't do what it was designed to do. And it does it well enough to keep many of Ford's faithful older customers happy for years to come.
And I was certainly happy to see our 1991 Ford Crown Vic back on the road again, as soon as Eric returned from his trip to the auto parts store with some good news.
Well, how's old Reno running there, Eric?
Well, it didn't blow up. It didn't even overheat.
Well, that's some good news.
So we'll let it sit here and cool off, and then check it one more time when it's cold enough to take the radiator cap off. Now, it didn't warm all the way up, or else that would be too hot to touch, but it's hot. So
And it looks like you got the belts for our Max Fury police car.
Yeah, I gotta take that home because that car's still at my house. I have parts all over the place.
That is becoming more and more the norm around here at Chase HQ.
These are parts for some of our customers' cars. And I got parts in there for this car and that one.
Fantastic. Well, sounds like we're in for a busy next couple of days.
Yeah, we are.
Plus, we got that 73 Chrysler Newport coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me,
Newport
Chrysler.
or New Yorker?
New Yorker, that's right.
Okay.
Chrysler New Yorker. A 73 model is coming in here tomorrow to our Mostly Mopar shop. Well, all right, we'll go ahead and pick this up just as soon as that engine cools down.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see how our 1991 Ford Crown Vic cop car that we call Reno is doing, and we'll see if it's staying cool.
Well, friends and neighbors, Eric got our Crown Vic back together just in the nick of time, as I could hardly market and sell a classic police car if it didn't run and drive. So after Eric was done for the day, I took Reno out for what ended up being my last run with it up and down the interstate. And although the breakdown had been a setback in our plans, I remained hopeful that very soon our 1991 Ford police car would soon have a new owner and a new life. You see, owning and maintaining a pair of police cars for rent was becoming a financial burden ever since Michigan's film tax credits expired. In our business, if a car isn't making us money or providing a service to our shop, then it's time to find it a new home. Of course, we had managed to have some fun along the journey, and we'd use Reno to promote our business by attending local car shows. In total, we had spent around $4,500 buying Reno, shipping him to Detroit, and turning him into a working rental car over 3 years of ownership. During that time, Eric and I learned some valuable lessons about buying cars from insurance auctions and providing cars to local film companies. Plus, we'd met some amazingly talented filmmakers and auto journalists along the way. Folks that would one day help us put our ideas about making a video series about our workshop into action. But now we approach the final phase of our Crown Vic police car experiment. It was finally time to see if we could sell Reno for a tidy profit, and in doing so, find him a good home. So to help prospective buyers know the history of our Ford, I wrote up a detailed buyer's guide which covered every part of the car, from its mechanical and cosmetic condition inside and out, to its history as a patrol car with the Mono County Sheriff's Department in Northern California. I was even able to provide buyers with some valuable facts and figures about the car, its special police package options, and fleet sales information thanks to the resident experts on Ford products at Marty Auto Works and their fascinating Marty report. This analytical report is a must-have for any classic Ford owner who likes the details. It can also help you when you want to sell your car. And those efforts paid off because we were contacted again by the same interested buyer from Indiana. As Eric mentioned earlier, this gentleman was interested in turning our Ford into a tribute of the Matchbox cars he had played with as a kid back in the 1990s. And now that he had a family of his own, he wanted to make the real-life version of the Ford LTD Matchbox car to enjoy with his own kids. And it wasn't long before he paid us a visit, cash in hand, and ready to wheel and deal for both the car and the emergency equipment that we had removed to advertise the car for sale. Indeed, this would be our last ride for our 1991 Ford police car we called Reno. He was loaded up and bound for Indiana to start a new life with a new family. To think that somebody actually threw this car away and abandoned it to the junk pile makes Eric and I laugh to this very day. We wonder if the former owner who gave our Ford up for dead would shake their head in disbelief, seeing that a car that they once considered to be trash would not only live on in glory, but would star in its own retrospective video about the history and legacy of the big box Fords, an American automotive icon and the king that doffed the crown. As you may recall, Ford created the formal police car package in the 1950s. Ford police cars would go on to serve all throughout America and make up a considerable number of the police fleets that patrolled endless miles of American roadways. That number would continue to grow during the 1990s as the competition from GM and Chrysler faded away and as all were eventually discontinued, thus leaving the Big Blue Oval as the last V8-powered police sedan in America until 2006. An incredible legacy for an incredible car that, although not the fastest or the most revered, will forever remain the uncrowned king of the cop cars in its final form as the Ford Police Interceptor. A few months later, we received a happy greeting from the new owner showing us how great our old 1991 Ford looked in its new uniform, a glorious tribute to the history of Ford police vehicles. We hope you've enjoyed our look at the Ford police cars. Truly, this abandoned 1991 Ford Crown Vic police pack was one of the best cars that our ragtag little workshop has ever owned. We're proud to have the opportunity to share its story with you, and we're happy knowing that it's being lovingly preserved by a family who will hopefully continue to enjoy its history and service for many years to come. If you enjoy automotive content like we do, consider subscribing to our channel or check out our website to join our VIP-only high-speed chase club. for early videos and other great perks.